Hey guys, Eggros here. So, I assume that you saw the 4.15 patch notes and saw the mid-harpy nerf. Hi-Rez is finally doing something right for once. I mean, mid-harpies were as overperforming as Raijin, and we all know how broken he is. That aside, the biggest change in the patch with Devourer's got Stone of Gaia. Before we go in, let's look at the original stats. Its base stats give you 400 HP, 20 HP 5, and 15 MP 5. So, about the sustain and HP of Sovereignty and Heartward combined. Its first passive allows you to regen 2% of your max health every 5 seconds. And its second passive gives you 1 second of CC immunity when hit with knockups, pulls, or grabs. I'll just call these last two pulls for the sake of simplicity. So it's obviously a sustain item with an out of place but strong second passive. And Hi-Rez wanted to keep that consistency while trying to counter knockups and pulls. Passive number 2 was changed to that if you're hit with a knockup, you gain 10% of your max health over the next 10 seconds. At first, I thought that this meant that Ares was actually going to become relevant again. But then I realized how ass the new passive is. Instead of becoming a counter to knockups and pulls, it just became a hell heal. Over 10 seconds. But I mean, it does fit into the theme of life regen, but did we really need this? To organize my thoughts, I'll just lay out the 5 reasons as to why I think this change is complete ass. Number 1, the heal is negligible. Remember, this has the same cooldown timer as the old Stone of Gaia, 90 seconds. This means that every 90 seconds, a Vulcan will hit you with a 300 damage meatball. You, being a Guardian at 2500 HP, will heal up 250 HP over the next 10 seconds. Oh boy, this item sure made a difference, putting your minus 300 HP loss to a minus 50 HP loss. To put this in perspective, this is less than a standard hell heal, but takes 10 seconds instead of being just instant. But if you want sustain, this passive is way too situational and will rarely net you a profit. Number 2, the current meta. The current meta we're playing in heavily discourages healers and healing in general. The only roles that would ever pick up Stone of Gaia are supports, solo laners, and very rarely junglers. And all lanes are very strong counters to healing. We have so many meta gods right now with anti-heal like Kukulin with 40% in his 1, Bacchus with 50% in his 3, Osiris and Serket with 100% in their ults, and not to mention the buffs to Curse Tonk and how easy it is to pick up anti-heal items. This means the 10% over 10 seconds most likely will be a measly 6% over 10 seconds. Using the same example from before, the Guardian will only gain 150 HP. Also, build-wise, it's very hard to fit this item in a build. Solo laners need to buy the core items to become a bruiser, and they hardly have any moments to deviate from their standard builds. Despite seeing the changes to Shifter Shield and Gladiator Shield, I don't ever see this item being put on solo laners anymore. They get enough sustain from Gladiators, and they have too low of a base health, so the percentage base heals from Gaia would hardly make a difference. Guardians, on the other hand, don't worry too much about sustain because they get most of theirs from either Lonos, Sovereignties, Thebes, or Travelers. Plus, they run the risk of becoming victims to Keen Sides if they build a 400 HP item. Number 3, the problem with the passive itself. The passive is supposed to lessen the impact of pulls by cushioning it with heals. If you were to be killed within 6 seconds, you would only heal for 150 HP, using the same example from before. The full passive of Stone cannot be used to its entirety for its intended purpose. Plus, it's too easy to pop beforehand. Like Magi's Blessing, except that Magi's Blessing has a much better passive on a much shorter cooldown. For example, in this game here, sorry I couldn't record this, I didn't think that I would need some Hercules gameplay. Shock and Bologna both bought Stone of Gaia to counter me, the Hercules. If they didn't have it, they would have had to use preemptive beads to prevent their certain death, instead of getting meditation to help their team. Plus, I feel like this passive is so niche that it'll just end up like Stone of Fall, or Oni Hunter's Garb. Huh. I never thought I would see the day when I would mention those 2 items. Number 4. The counters to knockups / displacements, or the lack of. After Hi-Rez put a knockup immunity on Phantom and realized that people only bought Phantom to counter Odin, they removed it. Magi's is too easy to proc with his lackluster stats. Beads can only counter a hard CC every 2 2/3 minutes. This means that her combo can hit you 23 times before you beats it. Spirit Robe's passive got nerfed by giving it an increased cooldown. All of these combined leaves gods who needed Gaia the most very vulnerable to knockups, and virtually no answer to pulls. Although Guardians and solo laners do have abilities that make them knockup immune, But these knockup immunities are completely countered by Xing Shen ult, Ganesha 3, and Sobek pluck because they apply a stun before displacing you. Most gods in Smite have CC immune ultimates, but their ults are so vital to the teamfight that giving them up would mean a huge disadvantage for them. Of course, beads are still an option, but it is costly for a guardian to give up shell, and a solo laner to give up support. And for low mobility guardians like Ymir and Treeman, this spells the end for them. I see this item like a Sanctuary versus Poseidon, or a Beads versus Ares. Knockups are the strongest CC in the game because it's a 1 second stun that's unaffected by crowd control reduction that can only be beads beforehand. We need a counter to this. Number 5. Finally, what Hi-Rez could have done with the item. I honestly don't see a way that we could change the current 90 second, 1 second CC immunity to any displacing CC to make it balanced. If we increase the cooldown, then it would just be as useful as old Phantom, and if we decrease the base stats, we mess up the item's original purpose. But I could have seen a Spirit Rope treatment to it, or a low health Shifter Shield-esque passive to it could have happened. If not, just make the heal happen instantly or over 3 seconds to actually make a difference, and lower its internal cooldown. It does make sense that an otherwise unpopular item with a passive that acts as a strong counter to gods like Ares and Hercules should be removed. Also, by the way guys, Hi-Rez didn't remove the passive for the new adventures. Apollo could have flown all the way to Hydra in the Trials of Hercules, but he didn't get entirely reworked ult, they just banned him out. My name's Eggrolls, and was I right, or was I overreacting and didn't see the true purpose of the item as a sustain item? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that stuff. I'll see you eggheads next time. Peace.
I will not chase nobody!